Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to talk about making gun range targets. And so we have a gun range here on our farm. We just call it that because it's just the best name for it. It is not a legal gun range. We don't rent it out. We don't allow other people to come. It's just for our friends and family. And so it's just a place on our farm where we shoot guns, but we like to plink, airsoft and BB guns for the kids, and they have 22s and of course pistols for myself and my father-in-law and friends. But today we're going to talk about making some targets from home, how you can save some money, something that we're doing here, and I'll show you what we've got going on. That is coming up right after this. Well, welcome back. Thanks for following along. Today we're going to talk about these gun range targets, but if you've been following my channel, we are done with our daily chores here on the farm, and this is something that we can do in the shop and piddle around while it's so cold. Now today it is 30 degrees when I got home from work, which is like a heat wave for the last week here, but nevertheless, we're going to work on these targets, and so I'm going to show you a way that I'm doing them. There are better ways than what I'm going to show, but for me and what's going to happen here in the price, just trying to save money, I'll show you this and hopefully it'll help you. All right, first for the material, we are using a 3/16 steel, and this is a hardened steel. These are not AR 500 plates. These will not hold rifle rounds. You will dent these and then they will become unsafe. But for plinking and perhaps pistols, these are going to be just fine. So once again, I am not running a legal gun range. I am not a gun instructor. I am just simply a guy who enjoys the sport and wants to shoot and wants to be able to shoot on his own property and wants to invest in this for teaching my kids gun safety. And so that's what we're doing. It's a shame that in these day and times, you kind of have to be very specific about legalities of these things, but that's what I'm trying to do. So if you're going to make gun range targets, you got to be safe. You got to choose your own path. I recommend, if you don't know what you're doing, buy them from a reputable source. Working on your guns, go to a gunsmith. I'm not trying to get you to do something that's unsafe here, but I'm just going to show you what we're doing on our farm. We've made these targets, and the goal for today is we want to make a vertical shooting platform. And so that means that these targets will hang vertically, so it will help you to learn to shoot up and down in a range. It teaches you as you're behind a 22, which is what I'm trying to teach my kids with this actual implement, is to adjust the target up. And so right to left, you can kind of, shoulder your body back and forth in a scope, and that's kind of easy. But as you have to dip the shoulder down, if you're on a pad, or put your hand and elbow higher, that becomes a little more difficult at a long range. And so if you're shooting 75, 100 yards with a 22, that's a pretty good distance, especially for a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old learning to shoot behind a scope and resting and breathing and all the things that come along with that. So that's why we're building a vertical target. Now for pistols, vertical targets are fine, but it's very rare that you shoot in a competition vertically, going up in a number. So, but the vertical target is a good practice target, but I would recommend you go from top down. So the natural indication or the natural method of the weapon itself is to naturally ride up. So as you shoot, the pistol will recoil and make your rounds go up. So if you shoot really fast, you naturally go up. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna teach yourself to handle that recoil and natural muzzle recoil, holding that by going down the targets and working your way down. It'll teach you to better hold your firearm. And so that's what, we'll use that for pistol as well. Recommend. And if money wasn't an object and you want a recommendation from me on what size plates you should shoot, for a 22 long rifle, I usually go with a 4x4 plate, 4-inch by 4-inch, and then work my way down from there. But on pistols, the standard competition pistol plates are 6-inch round plates. And so that's what you'll typically see when you buy, if you buy a dueling tree, if you buy some hanging plates, they're gonna be 6-inch plates. And most of the time they shoot those at 25 yards in competition. They're also going to shoot man-size AR-500 targets, which we do own some of these, and they're going to shoot those in different patterns. Either they pop up and pop down, or something moves in front of them, whatever it would be in a competition. So as we're looking to build this gun range here on our farm, I want things to be realistic. So if my kids decide to go to a youth competition, it's close to what they have. But just so you're aware, these are not competition regulation size, what we're building today. So I bought this metal. I had it sheared, the 3/16 metal. I had it sheared into squares, and I would love to make circular targets. But if you have to make circular targets for a range, you waste a lot of material. So you're making a circle, and everything else in that square, because all flat stock steel typically comes in squares, 4x8 sheets or 60-inch by 10-foot long sheets. And so when you have it sheared, there's a lot of waste making these circles. So that's why I have decided to stay with the square target. Now here's my philosophy. So this is a 4.5-inch wide target, square. Diagonally, it is 6.25 inches. So surface area wise, yes, if you want to have this argument with me, surface area wise, a 6-inch round plate has more square inches than this 4x4 square target does, surface area wise. But diagonally, I'm still 6.25 inches. So in order to save material, I am going to say that this target is comparable, or perhaps a little harder to hit than a 6-inch round target. So if you have to aim, which is typically when we aim, we only aim up and down and left and right. We don't aim in a diagonal fashion. But when we miss shoot, we misfire diagonally. So when you pull, when you jerk, when you breathe and drop, all of these things, the round typically goes diagonally up or down based on whether you're right or left-handed and in which direction it goes. So the surface area in which you would miss is about the same as a 6-inch round target. But we have chosen steel square targets mainly because savings on material. All right, so how did I do it? So I took this square, and these were actually 10 inches by 4.5 to start, and I cut over. So I left a 1-inch tab sticking 2 inches high on this 4.5 inch. So you ended up with these little square cutouts on each side. Did this with my normal angle grinder and a cutting blade. You don't have to have a lot of fancy tools. If you had a bandsaw, it would work nice, but I did that. Then I drilled my hole. So what we're gonna eventually do, and I'll show you this in a minute, is stick a 5/16 lag bolt in these holes. But we drilled our hole, I cut a little angle and then rounded this top just to kind of make it look nice. And then we heated this right here, put it in our vise and twisted it. So now you end up with a target that's held like this, and as you hit it, it plings back and forth. Once again, 4.5 inches. These square targets here, these square pieces that fell out, those are important to note because I'll show you what I'm gonna do and what the plan is. The first one's based off of another video I've seen, the twist, and I've seen other people do that, and I've seen purchased targets have that twist in them. And so I thought, well, that's gotta be the best way. If people are purchasing them from a store, that's gotta be the best way. It took a long time for me. It was easy to cut out, easy to drill my hole, but I didn't have the hottest of torch, and it was only 12 degrees in the shop at the time. So I had to heat and heat and heat, and I was by myself, and I'm using vice grips to twist. And so I would twist and have to get it back and forth and hold it up and look at it. And so it wasn't as easy as I thought it was gonna be to make this twist perfect, make it perfectly perpendicular to the plate. I'm a little bit particular. I'm not sure you would have to do that. And so I thought, is there an easier method? And so I had two other methods that I made these plates, and I'm gonna show you those now. But the first one was I simply cut a 1/2 inch tab out, square, drilled my hole in it, and then at the bottom, I cut a little notch that would slide over my plate. And then I just took my welder and put a little bead weld around it there, nothing fancy. In fact, it was kind of hard to get this nice looking weld because I had to put my ground clamp on this plate. My table is not ground off yet to weld on the table, but I decided to make a few of them like this. It was faster. It was faster than the twist. It used less material because I could cut everything square, so I like that idea. But ultimately, it was kind of a pain in the butt because of making the notch and getting it to fit and getting it square up and down, getting it perpendicular, so as it swings square and it hangs square. So that was rendition 2. Rendition 3 was, I thought, why am I doing all this time to put that tab down and just have it at the back? I went ahead and just cut a 1-inch tab off of that same 4.5 wide strip. I just used the excess and cut 1-inch strips, drilled my hole in it, and welded that to the back. Now, I will tell you, the negative to this versus this is the flap. So if you're always gonna hang down, which is what I'm gonna do, it will always hang and it will hit here and you'll ting and it'll bounce back. If you're always gonna hang, this is okay. And in fact, this was way faster. It used the same amount of material because I was throwing little pieces away, grinding off. So this was better, faster, cheaper. In all realms, it was good for me. But if you're gonna use a target that hangs down and then flips up, so perhaps you're gonna bolt it to a angle iron piece and you want them up, and then when you hit them, they knock down. And then from there, you can hit bottom over and over. And a lot of guys do that. So when the targets are vertical like this, and you'll have 6 of them in a row, it ensures that you hit the plate hard enough, and it ensures that there's no lying. So if you're going head to head with a friend and you hit it, it's gonna flop down. It can't come back up on its own. And so, you know, your friend can't say, oh, you didn't hit that one. Whereas if they're all down, you can say you hit all 6 of yours, and since he's paying attention to his 6 to make sure he hit all 6 of his, he's, you know, you might say you're fast, but you missed one of them. And so there's no lying if they're vertically and you hit down. Now, it's us, our family. I don't really care about that. But if you were trying to make a target competition where you shot 6 horizontally or 6 vertically, you would want them to hang up and flop down. So with that, I would say this method, if you're gonna do that, this method is a little better, and you would bolt this or somehow attach this to where it could be stood up, and then when you hit it, it would flop down. So let's show you what I'm gonna do. So on my table here, I have a treated 4x4. This came off of a skid. This was scrap lumber, but it is a nice 4x4 treated, 8 foot long. It has a few nail holes in it, but that is not gonna hurt us for this purpose. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these plates and screw them vertically in the side of this, and then I will dig a post hole and put this post in the ground with just a slight canter forward, just to ensure that the rounds go down when they're hit. The plates will hang vertically, but when you're hit, it'll flop back. And so you want just every target you have, you want just a slight canter forward. So I'm gonna attach these plates vertically down this 4x4. The way I'm gonna attach them is with a 5/16 by 6-inch lag bolt. I bought 50 of these at Lowe's for $25. And then I had some tubing. This is stainless steel tubing. I went ahead and painted it black, but it is stainless steel 1/8-inch wall tubing that perfectly fits over these lag bolts to make a bushing. And so what will happen is I'll make this bushing, I'll put a washer on both sides, and I'm also gonna put a washer at the post, and then this lag bolt will stick into my post 2.5 inches. So hanging off the side of the post will be this target, and it will be able to hit it over and over. We will not be able to put it up, but you'll see we don't want it up anyways with these back plates. So it's gonna hang just like this. The bushing will help to stabilize it from dipping down. This is a pretty significant lag bolt at 5/16. It's in treated wood. It's definitely gonna be in far enough. And so on one side of our target, on one side of our vertical stance, we're gonna have 4.5-inch plates, 6 of them horizontally hanging down all the way down, with probably a 3-inch gap before the next plate, so that there's a significant gap there. You're gonna end up with only about 1.5 inch gap here from the post to the target, which is kind of a negative, but the 6-inch lag bolts are kind of the longest bolt I could find at a reasonable price. You can get 8 and 10s, but they either get really fat in diameter, like 1/2 inch, or they're really high priced. And so these are just normal grade 3 bolts. These are not grade 8. These are not galvanized. You could have spent a little more money and done that, but I went this route to start. Probably wondering why my targets are black. I painted them all black because of the welds. I just wanted to get a coat of paint on them. We will tape these off and paint these fronts white. Now on the other side of our post, we're gonna have targets as well, but they're gonna be step down. So we're gonna start at the top one at a 4.5, the same as our other side, but then we're gonna continue to step down a 1/2 inch every time with our targets until we get to the little sliver of just a 1/2 inch. So with these, I made them all square, so I believe this one's a 2.5. So it's 2.5 by 2.5, and we went a 1/2 inch down all the way down until I got to 2 inches. When I got to 2 inches, I continued to move in a 1/2 inch with each cut, but I kept everything else 2 inches. So my 1/2 inch wide target is a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. These are mainly going to be for plinking with the 22s or the air rifles, but for the experienced 9mm shooter at 25 yards, you can really test yourself. So for the purpose of the video, I'm going to go ahead and do one, show you how I'm going to do it, set the post up, let you get a look at it, and then I'm still in the midst of painting all these, so then I'll finish that up, but you can get the idea of how it would work for you. So I've selected my bit. It's just a tiny bit smaller than my lag bolt, actually about half the size as far as diameter goes. I'm going to step down just a little bit because there's a knot here. Go in the center, go vertical. Pilot, drill my hole. Next, we're going to go ahead and drill the plate in. So I've got my lag bolt, then washer, then plate, then another washer, then my bushing, and then another washer, just like this. And we're going to screw this into this hole. So now I've got it pretty tight here. Now I'm just going to back it off just a hair. And perhaps a wrench would be a little more sensitive there. Now it's pretty tall right now, but this post will go about 3 feet in the ground. That should hold it fine, but you can kind of get the idea. The target comes there and the post isn't secured, but it will be a ting, ting, and you're good to go. And so we'll set these and work these all the way down this side, and the other side will be our diminishing sizes. And so we will have a shooting vertical target tree with 2 different options, one on each side, that will set in the ground. How much money do I have in it? I guess that's your question. So because I have a local fab shop that I get some steel from, and these were a lot of scrap cutoffs from their shearings, I was able to buy all of the steel flat stock to make all of these targets for $20, which is super cheap. And then I have the drills and the heaters and the torches and the cutting, all that, the tools to do it all. I have all that already. I told you the 4x4 post was scrap. I got that for free, but if you had to buy that, they're probably $12 at your local hardware store or around about there. The tubing I already had, so that was free. But if you had to buy a set of that tubing, it's probably $6 a foot. And so you'll need about 3 inches of that tube per target. And then the lag bolts were $25 for a box of 50 of those. And so you can get those. It is cheaper to buy lag bolts in a box, even if you have to buy more, but you can buy those individually at Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever you want to go. And so that's what you can use. If you have the money, and this is kind of a test for me, galvanized would be better, galvanized would last longer. And then of course I have a $7 can of Rust-Oleum spray paint. I actually bought 2, a black one and a white one. And so total in this project, I've got less than $100 with technically 2 vertical trees of steel targets. So one that's a competition size 4.5 all the way down through there that would train you for vertical shots. And then one that's diminishing, more for plinking, and it will be set up and ready to go. I hope that helps you. I hope that's an easy way for you guys to make some targets. Horizontal targets, I will tell you, horizontal targets are more of the standard. And so as you're looking to make a competition level target, maybe range at your house, the horizontal is really what you're gonna see more often than a vertical at any competition that you go to. But for training, vertical is a very good training method for hunting, for target shooting, for plinking, whatever you want to do. It's a very good training method, and so these are very useful to have. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Please like and subscribe. Continue watching us. Comment, let us know what you want to see. And then when I make some other targets, I'll make another video about it. But most of our channel is about farming, and so we'll continue with those videos. And thank you for the people who are subscribing and continue to watch and continue our hours. We're trying to build up our YouTube right now and get that hour watch time up so we can monetize and then go to an affiliate. So I appreciate everybody, the time that you're spending with us.